Biden to sign crypto order as industry faces pressure. The U.S. approach to cryptocurrency has attracted fresh attention in recent weeks as Washington has levied sanctions on Russia. President Joe Biden is set to sign an executive order this week that will outline the USA government's strategy for cryptocurrencies, according to several people familiar with the administration's plans. The order will direct federal agencies to examine potential regulatory changes, as well as the national security and economic impact of digital assets, said the people, who asked not to be named discussing the deliberations. The White House's approach to crypto has attracted fresh attention in recent weeks as Washington and its allies have levied sanctions on Russia, prompting concerns that firms and individuals there could use crypto to evade the restrictions. The White House declined to comment. The order, which has been in the works since last year, will require federal agencies across the government to report later this year what they're doing regarding digital assets, Bloomberg News has reported. Biden's team is under pressure to play more of a coordinating role as industry executives bemoan what they say is a lack of clarity on USA rules. Meanwhile, the crypto industry is facing intense scrutiny from lawmakers, including Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senate Banking Committee Chairman Sherrod Brown, over concerns that sanctioned individuals and firms in Russia may be using digital assets to bypass the sanctions. Still, some analysts and officials have questioned how effective a workaround crypto could be given the limited size of the market. Dozens of tokens tumble as prolific developer Andrei Kronia calls it quits. Investors are running for the exits as a mercurial developer leaves DeFi development behind. Prices for dozens of tokens are plunging on the news that prolific developer Andrei Kronia is calling it quits, including prices for many that only have tenuous links to the DeFi maven. On Sunday, frequent collaborator Anton Nell announced on Twitter he and Kronia were closing the chapter on developing in decentralized finance. Many observers assumed such an announcement was imminent because Kronia deleted his Twitter account and updated his LinkedIn account last week to reflect that he was no longer an advisor to the Phantom Foundation. Despite these warning signs, the market reacted violently to the news. The token associated with the recently released Solidly, a hybrid automated market maker, AMM, tumbled as much as 75% on the day. Likewise, automation platform Keepers token is likewise down 25%, and that of lending platform Iron Bank is down 50%. All these protocols were founded by Kronia. He has even reached projects that only have tenuous ongoing links to Kronia. For years now, Kronia has publicly stated he has not been involved in the day-to-day operations of Yearn Finance, a yield vault protocol he turned over to a decentralized autonomous organization, DAO, with a now mythical fair launch in July 2020. Nonetheless, the ETH token tumbled as much as 12%, and is down 7.5% at the time of writing. Likewise, the tokens of much of the Phantom ecosystem are drastically lower today. Spooky Swap, BOO, is down 19%, Liquid Driver, LQDR 17%, Tomb 22%, TOMB, and Geist Finance, Geist 15%, despite the fact that Kronia was not known to be significantly involved in any of their development. Throughout his career, Kronia has had a strained relationship with DeFi. He often takes to his blog to decry speculators and riff on the psychological perils of building. His protocols have driven billions in value and also been hacked for millions of dollars. He has taken months-long sabbaticals from the space in the past. Nonetheless, Nell emphasized the latest exit was not a knee-jerk reaction and is indeed final. From a practical perspective, however, many have noted that Kronia's exit will not impact on the operations of many of the protocols in which he was involved. While Nell's farewell post noted that many websites will be shutting down as a result of the pair's decision to step away, these sites are merely front ends for largely autonomous contracts Kronia deployed months or even years ago. Indeed, in the hours since the announcement, teams have already begun announcing the launch of new front ends for interacting with these contracts, such as one team replacing Kronia's Bribe. CRV. Finance. First mover Asia. Malaysia may be Asia's next crypto hub. Major cryptos decline as Russia onslaught intensifies. The country, where CoinGecko was founded, retains the institutional use of English as well as a common law court system. Bitcoin declined for the third day. Financial centers usually need three things: nice weather, common law, and a bilingual workforce. When people think of financial centers in Asia, Hong Kong or Singapore usually come to mind. The two cities share a lot of similarities as they retain a common law court system, and the workforce has a high command of English as artifacts of Britain's legacy of colonialism. Singapore is often called Asia's crypto hub, and that term makes sense on the surface. The Monetary Authority of Singapore's regulatory framework has been thought of as a comprehensive approach to crypto that understands the unique complexity of the asset class, while Hong Kong takes a fragmented approach that often feels like there's a square peg in a round hole happening despite everyone's best efforts. But we're forgetting about Malaysia. Also a former crown colony, Malaysia retains the institutional use of English as well as a common law court system. There's no erosion of this legacy like in Hong Kong. The beaches are better than Singapore and the cost of living is low. Yes, Malaysia isn't spotless and graft-free like the Lion City, but it didn't have Gigachad Lee Kuan Yew at the helm to fight corruption. Sovereign wealth funds get raided, to bankroll the Wolf of Wall Street no less, and police take the occasional bribe. But they know it's wrong and people get prosecuted, parties get tossed at the ballot box in their raucous democracy. The judicial DNA is in the right place, and the bones of the system are solid. A land title, for example, is secure through the use of the Torrens system of title, another fine Commonwealth legacy that enshrines property rights through professional surveying and a central registry, not a mishmash of fiefdoms. Singapore and Malaysia used to be one, in fact, until Malaysia's parliament voted to expel the island from their confederation, making Singapore the only country to gain independence involuntarily. Take that, Taiwan. One key thing Malaysia has going for it, with the British common law in place, is its ability to pull in case law that is based on judicial decisions, when making a regulatory decision. Because of its clarity, case law is always a preferred method of dealing with an evolving landscape that statute or regulation isn't a precise enough tool to hit. Lawyers who specialize in regulatory affairs in common law jurisdictions get a bit uneasy when authorities decide to use statute to rule by enforcement. This seems to be going well for Fusong, based in Malaysia's Labuan territory. Labuan, formed in 1990, is being marketed as Malaysia's Hong Kong, a mid-shore jurisdiction that's in the country but exempt from some of its rules and tax burden. Labuan was a bit underground and not well known until Fusong put it on the map with its digital equities and bond offerings. Paper shares today, digital shares tomorrow is how its CEO Henry Chong puts it, explaining that this isn't a novel asset class in need of a new set of rules. Clarity is already there, because there are existing securities rules. Chong thinks there is plenty of clarity on the market about digital assets. Those that say otherwise are complaining about having to follow the rules. But what Malaysia doesn't have is the sophisticated capital market of Hong Kong. Kuala Lumpur isn't synonymous with being a financial center the same way that Hong Kong is. Singapore, looking at the numbers, isn't even there either. In the digital world, geography starts to matter a lot less. Financial centers typically grew up around geography. Hong Kong is a prototypical example. There's proximity there, Chong said. Hong Kong became Hong Kong because people wanted to meet and interact. Jurisdictions will start competing more, Chong said, and the case is there for Malaysia to become this next hub. Chong isn't the first one to champion this. CoinGecko, a fierce competitor to CoinMarketCap, was founded in Malaysia and continues to operate there while maintaining a presence in Singapore. Malaysia remains free of capital gains tax on crypto, and its educated, English-speaking workforce is quickly making a good impression on stakeholders in the decentralized finance, DeFi, industry. Hong Kong's response to COVID-19 has caused a mass exodus that might just be Malaysia's gain. Published statistics show that since March 2020, 76,000 more people have left the city than arrived, and the tempo of departures has increased in the last week as the city tries to enforce its most restrictive COVID rules yet. Even its most vocal fans are deciding now is the time to go. Some are headed back to Europe, others for a staycation in Thailand, and perhaps some to Malaysia. Work will still be the order of business, as remote working is the norm. But the question is, how many will return? This could be what it takes for the industry to consider decentralizing, especially to areas that share the same legal DNA. Coinbase touts blacklist of 25K Russia-linked addresses allegedly tied to illicit activity. Combating accusations that crypto is an ideal sanctions evasion tool, Coinbase said it has long taken proactive steps to root out criminally tied Russians. Coinbase is blocking 25,000 Russian-linked crypto addresses it believes are tied to illicit activity, Chief Legal Officer Paul Grewal said in a late Sunday blog post. That figure accounts for years of sanctions and compliance efforts against Russian bad actors. In other words, it is not specific to the war in Ukraine. Coinbase said it has not seen a surge in illicit activity following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Grewal said. Exchanges have been under pressure to closely monitor Russian-linked crypto activity in the days following Russia's attack on Ukraine. Much of that is due to crypto's purported risk as a tool for sanctions evasion. Coinbase and other industry participants say those fears are overblown. Digital assets have properties that naturally deter common approaches to sanctions evasion, Grewal wrote in the blog post. He later claimed those properties can actually enhance our ability to detect and deter evasion compared to the traditional financial system. Coinbase cast the 25,000 blocks as evidence of its proactive work in rooting out bad actors. It said it can anticipate threats, block sanctioned individuals from engaging with the company, and detect attempts at evasion. It's unclear if any of those addresses are controlled by Coinbase or are instead external wallets that it has blacklisted. Coinbase has a very limited business footprint inside Russia, offering only non-custodial services.